It's time for Ask the Expert, your chance to learn something new every day. Let's find out who our expert is today.
Well, today on Ask the Expert is Pat Browne. After 35 years as an ICU nurse, our guest has traded the bedside for the garden to pioneer earthside nursing, a mission to heal the planet through microbes and permaculture. She's the mastermind behind a local reparations process for the environment, having diverted over 23,000 pounds of food waste this past year to feed nearly 200 hungry animals. By partnering with Careit, she's proving that our pets and livestock aren't just dependents, but chompers. And I'll have Pat tell you what chompers are. Essential to a livable future. Get ready to learn how your backyard critters can become climate heroes as we welcome Pat Browne to the show. Hello, Pat.
Hi there. Hey, thanks so much for inviting me and giving my stats. I will clarify a little bit. I've been an RN for 35 years.
Oh, okay.
But I did pediatric ICU for 15.
Okay.
Just so that people don't think I'm this Uber ICU nurse. And why did she leave?
Oh, well, that's a whole other story, I bet.
A whole other story. I started all this because I've got all these tools that are in my toolbox from in the ICU, and because my daddy was a CB, from Fort Hueneme.
What's a CB?
It's a construction battalion in the Navy.
Okay, all right.
They've been around since 1940s. Their job is to build things out of doing what you've got. Okay. So whatever you've got, you use it to build with.
Good, okay.
And so that kind of thinking is what I'm all about. And then, of course, I have a bachelor's in animal sciences, so of course I've got to think about animals. I was going to be a veterinarian, changed over to an RN, into pediatrics. It's almost the same thing. Little animals, little people.
Sounds like you help everything with a heartbeat.
Yeah, that can't talk for themselves.
Right. And before we continue, you brought Alyson Schill on with you. Now, she's from Careit. Let's introduce Alyson to the show. Hello.
Hi, Barry. Hi, how are you?
Tell us a little bit about Careit and yourself.
I will do that. So my name's Alyson Schill. As you said, I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Careit Food Donation app. And what we do is make sure that if there are businesses that have surplus edible food and they don't want to throw it away, which they definitely shouldn't, they can easily host a donation through the software, and a nonprofit nearby will be able to reserve that donation, rescue it, and make sure that it gets into the hands of the people who need it most.
Okay, so Alyson is the nationwide person there, and Pat is our local expert. Do I have that right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so tell us more about how you began, Pat.
Well, I was referred to by Food Share. Have I heard of Careit before, heard of the app? And Alyson was good enough to pick up my emails and call me back, and we had a lovely chat. I've been doing something I call animal food rescue, which is edible food for animals, but it's not really edible for humans. So if you look at an old inverted triangle from, Alyson, tell me where you talked to me about that one.
Yeah, the EPA used to have the hierarchy of food waste, but they've since taken away the hierarchy and made it more of like some of this is better here and some of this is better there. But the basic gist of it is when you have surplus food, the first thing you should do is feed people. If you can't feed people with it, feed animals. If you can't feed animals with it, then you should compost it with an anaerobic digester, which can basically turn our food scraps into energy. And then after that, compost it in a backyard or with a community composter. And finally, the last thing that you shouldn't do with it is put it in the landfill.
That's good.
That was us. And we started, she listened to my 25 years of doing exactly what I'm doing and said, yeah, I'll take a chance on you, for which I'm very grateful.
Okay, so how does this work? So Pat, walk me through your process of what this is.
So I have worked with different types of food producers, and usually it's because I like their food. So if I'll go to a restaurant, I'll talk to them and talk to the manager, and I'm just exclaiming over their food. And if I like their food, I know I'm going to like their leftovers and their prep waste and the things that they don't do. So I'm talking to them about it, so it's a couple of visits for that. And then after that, I said, okay, well, what are you doing with your leftovers? And have you heard of SB 1383? Which I'm going to...
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a lot about that.
Alyson's my pro on that one.
Okay.
So, or do you know about how that's going? Would you be willing to let me come on a regular basis? Everything will be sanitized. I'll have these ultra clean buckets and you'll just fill them. You'll keep the plastic and the trash and the clip ties and the forks and the gloves. You'll keep all of that out of there because you know the animals can't eat that. And then I'll tell you stories about my animals. How much Willie loved that rice that was slightly moldy. How much, that's Willie, is one of my birds.
Okay.
And you know, how much Legend loved that lettuce that you gave me, the stub ends of the romaine, just chowed down with his little buck teeth.
So you got this going many years ago,
Yes.
right? And was that a difficult thing to do? Did you do it by yourself? How did you get started early on? Just going door to door to your favorite restaurants?
Well, I started with Starbucks, and Starbucks was on the way home by bike from my work, and I only biked about 1.5 miles. And so I started what I call the bucket program with Starbucks, and I gave them buckets and I changed them out every other day. And over 22 months, 4,200 gallons, coffee grounds and tea bags, and anything that they wanted to throw into it later. I used that for my yard, and I lasagna layered my yard. And so I was able to add amendment, get rid of weeds using cardboard, and just makes good topsoil.
Oh, wow.
And then I said, okay, well, then some other gardener muscled into my system.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
And,
good idea isn't yours.
I gave it to him.
Yep.
And I said, I need a different kind of donor now. Then I went with an Asian restaurant. They have great shrimp shells, by the way.
That's good, compostable, right? The shells?
Well, shrimp shells are compostable,
Yeah.
but the birds adore them.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes.
interesting.
They had a lot of chitin. I won't go into. I can geek out very easily and get into the weeds. So I'm going to let you.
We're going to get into the birds here in a second.
Yeah, but I'll get into
That's
the
a lot of
weeds.
calcium, right?
So, lignin and chitin. Chitin is the number thing that comes out of shrimp shells. And that chitin is a building block for many of the things that they need for the eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Pat, do you know about the food waste mile and tell the people about that?
So all of our food waste goes into our buckets, goes to the curb, and then gets sorted into what they call a materials reclamation facility, MRF. And then from there goes to be composted after they've pulled out as much of the trash as they can. In Ventura County, the food waste mile from Santa Paula, where the MRF is at, all the way out to Kern County, is 127 miles. So basically, they are spending a ton of fuel, a ton of time, a ton of effort getting this stuff just to be composted and not really used afterwards.
Yeah, it's all this travel for your trash.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about SB 1383. That's the big SB. That's the big bill, right? Alyson, can you tell us about SB 1383?
Sure, I'll talk about it, but first I'm going to tell you why it exists.
Okay.
'Cause I know some people are like, why is California making law after policy after regulation for businesses? And here's why. In the USA, every year we are wasting 80 billion tons of food. It might be million, actually. Now I'm doubting myself, but it might be
Still a whole
in
lot.
California, though. All right, so we have in California 5 to 6 million tons of food waste annually. That's 18% of what's going into the landfill. It's the biggest category of stuff that's going into the landfill. And that's about 2.5 billion meals of edible food. So think about if we had 2.5 billion extra meals that we could feed every single person who wanted an extra meal with. And well, you might think, who would want that, right? 1 in 5 Californians face food insecurity. So if you drive out on the street and you look around, 1 in 5 of the people that you're looking at some point during the month, don't know where their next meal is. So the state made SB 1383 to target a 75% reduction in organic waste to the landfill by 2025, which happened last year. And they have a 2030 goal of raising that even more. But they don't just want to make sure it gets composted, they want to make sure as much as it can be is also donated for edible food. So we kind of work, Pat and I, in between those two areas. Should we just making sure we're getting that food out of the landfill?
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about how we can help and get involved. Where do we begin? How do we meet Pat, or how do we meet Alyson out there? What do we do? Where do we go?
Well, you
So,
signed on
fun fact.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go right ahead.
So, fun fact, the Ventura County, I think it's called the Waste Free VC, is contracting with Careit and Abound Food Care, which is a nonprofit organization, to make sure that all the businesses in the area that have surplus food can donate their food through Careit to our local food recovery organizations. And then what Pat and I are doing on top of that is telling them, hey, if you've got food that you could be composting, shouldn't be donating for human consumption, but is still kind of too good for compost, what if you gave that to one of our local backyard farmers? So we're going to collaborate to make sure that they can do it, and they can do it all through the app. And the cool thing is that means it gets tracked. Also, Careit has this license. You might not know it, but anywhere in the USA, there are different state regulations about donating food to animals. In California, you have to have a license in order to be able to donate food to animals. And the animal food recovering people, the people who have the animals, have to have a license as well. But because I managed to talk to the department that regulates that, the CDFA, Careit has that license, so we can broker those relationships between the small farmers and the small restaurants and make sure they don't have to have a license between it. So we're saving them money, we're making sure it's happening legally, and then we're making sure it's all tracked.
I love this, and it's all for a good cause. We're speaking with Alyson Schill and Pat Browne from Careit.com, Careit.com. And if you have a question for today's experts, you can call or text 833-346-4626. That's 833-346-4626. Or do you guys have a direct line that they can reach out to? What about you, Alyson? How do they reach you?
Yeah, you can call Careit at 833-FOOD-365.
833-FOOD-365. Cool. And Pat, we'd probably just catch you on the street, right? Catch you out there at your favorite restaurant.
Yeah, you'll see me out
on the
there.
farm. You're out on the farm.
I got verbal permission to mention some of my food producers.
Oh, cool.
So I'm working with Slate.
Slate, awesome. Great restaurant. Right?
Yep. I'm working with Fresh and Fabulous Medically Tailored Meals.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they're very
Medically tailored.
Medically tailored, yep. Mm-hmm. And I'm working with Farmivore, which is an organic farm. And it seems like it's counterintuitive that they cannot composting. They can't do their own composting, but they don't have the extra time and the labor and, ability to do all that.
Yeah.
Because it takes somebody monitoring it. And so they give me the extras. I feed my rabbits, so everybody's happy.
That's great.
Especially the rabbits.
Especially the rabbits. Okay.
They're fat.
So can we talk about anything happening in the near future with Careit or with Pat locally? Is there anything going on in the summer that we should be focused on? Maybe we can tell our local restaurants to get in touch with Careit and get the food program going. But
well, in Ventura County, I'm more than happy to help match up any kind of animal people. We need animal people to sign on. We need gardeners to sign on. And there's a special way to have them sign on because we're limited. Not all these people are nonprofits. Whereas for human donations, these are nonprofits that are going to pick up. So we have a process separate for our animal people and our gardeners.
Okay, so there's several different ways that you can donate food waste, but there's an animal need and a human need, right? So, Alyson, can you tell us how we can get started with that?
Yeah, if you go to careit.com and click sign up, you can create a business profile to donate food, or you can create an animal food rescue profile to rescue food for your animals. Or if you're a nonprofit that feeds people in need and you have a 501c3 status, you can create a nonprofit account.
Beautiful thing you both are doing. Thank you for taking care of people, animals, the environment. So there's something going on coming up here with you, Pat, with the Waste Food Recovery Summit. Is that what's happening? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, that's happening Thursday, the 19th of February, 2026, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. with registration on a fairly long website. You can also go to the main website for Waste Free Ventura County, which is www.waste-freevc.org. Again, that's waste-free, as in no cost, VC, as in Ventura County.org. And get signed up and registered on, just call them or send a little text to them and see how you can come and visit us. That's going to be held at the food share in Oxnard.
Okay.
And they're hosted to share information and updates on the region's approach to food recovery, donation, food insecurity, and will highlight what's currently happening. And then it provides a great chance for people for networking, relationship building. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and contact them at the county.
And that's a great resource happening. Can you tell us the date once again at Food Share in Oxnard to be a part of it? It's Feb 19th, I think you said?
Yeah, that'll be from 8 to 12 on the 19th, which is Thursday, from 8 in the morning till 12 noon. And you need to register because they will feed you.
Oh,
yes.
there's a bonus. It's new food, right? It's not the recycled food, right? Okay, just making sure I knew, but I wanted to make sure. Okay, well, thank you both so much for...
Hey there, I gotta interrupt you because the recycled food is just as good as the new food, and most people think that there's a difference, but there's not. It's just food that was in abundance.
Ah, okay. I consider myself a little more educated today. Well, thank you so much for being on Ask the Expert. I'd love to have you back on seasonally or whenever anything's going on in the world of Careit. That's great. I just got it. Careit. It's a double meaning kind of thing. That's great.
You share it when you care it.
Is there anything you want to say before we leave for today, Alyson? Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to mention that if you are a business that falls under Senate Bill 1383 as you need to mandatorily start donating food, you're going to get a visit very soon from this Waste Free VC team with Browne. That's hotels with over 200 plus rooms and an on-site food facility, restaurants with over 5,000 square feet or over 250 seats, health facilities with on-site food facilities with on-site food facilities and 100 plus beds, large venues and events, or local education agencies, including schools. So get ahead of the curve if you fall into those categories and start donating today.
That's an excellent tip. Thank you, Alyson. Alyson Schill from Careit, C-A-R-E-I-T, Careit. And
care about it.
Care about it. And Pat Browne, tell us what's next for you. What's happening in your world for the beginning of spring, the end of winter? You got the farm going. You're practicing sustainability. And if anyone has questions, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, you for anything Careit related, you can go through Careit first, and Careit and Shield's team will connect with me. They've got my number. I also do something called home restaurants. I have a number of different things that I do. So I'll either be doing something like solar cooking demonstrations.
Oh, wow, cool. Okay.
On sunny days.
I'll have to ask you more about that in another half hour.
Yeah. And then I do, I belong to groups of people that like to do natural building with used materials.
Oh, okay.
And also, but the home restaurant thing is a big deal because that's a different bill. That's called the Assembly Bill 626, Micro Enterprise Home Kitchen Operations. And that allows people to basically sell their food out of their home.
There you go.
And the best story that I can tell you is this lovely, lovely restaurant that started with this bill back in 2019 in San Diego. She does Balinese fine dining.
Ooh.
And her husband bought a fine dining hut out of Bali, had it shipped to California, reassembled in her backyard, and she does 6-course fine dining Balinese cuisine. She's probably Michelin star adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I can get into her restaurant maybe in 2 years on her register.
Wow.
And if we have $275 a plate.
That's success.
But it's quite the experience. But she is doing it because she wants to be home for her kids. So she cooks 1 or 2 nights a week. And so it's a worthy thing. Tell your supervisors in our county, because LA County has it, Santa Barbara has it, all the counties from Monterey south to San Diego have it. Our county has not adopted yet, and as soon as our county adopts, we're going to have all these lovely entrepreneurs in homes that are going to be selling the best of the best.
Okay, we've got to get that going. I mean, that sounds like a very good thing to have around here.
And then have them sign on to Careit for any leftovers.
Yeah, it all works together. Well, let's practice sustainability and recycle and give the extras away. Careit.com. Thank you, Alyson, Schill, and Pat Browne for being our expert today.
Thank you for the opportunity to have us tell our story.